Okay, welcome everyone. A warm welcome to all to our Women Together Connect session. It's a joy always on Tuesdays at noon Eastern time to come together and to see all of us just streaming into the Zoom room week after week. My name is Antoinette, and I'm standing in the Hudson Valley, Cortland Manor, New York. And I know that many of us are coming in from all over. So I'll just take a look in the chat. If you'd like to type into the chat where you're coming from, it's always nice to see some of those. And I know many of you have been doing it already. So we've got Ellicott City, Maryland, New York City, where it finally stopped raining. Yes, we've had a lot of rain over the last few days in New York. Congers, Wilmington, Delaware, Denver, West Palm Beach. We can send you some rain, Barbara. Chicago, springtime, Rockport, Massachusetts, Cambridge, Massachusetts, Long Island, Germany, St. Paul, Toronto, Oswego. They're just coming in. Ottawa, Oakland. Wonderful. So many of us really coming in from all over, and it looks like many familiar faces, but also a warm welcome to new faces who may be joining us today if it's your first time. We are going to have a special practice today with Karina Saltzman, and I look forward to introducing her and sharing a bit more about her work shortly. But just a little reminder about what we're doing with Women Together. So the basic idea is that we came together because Eileen Fisher was sharing some. Eileen Fisher has been a ethical apparel designer for a long time, over 30 years. And part of what she did in creating her clothing was to allow us to feel comfortable and confident in our bodies. And what she did that from was a place of her own exploration and deepening of her own practices. And that turned into a whole bunch of leadership practices inside her company, which we wanted to share and which we wanted to offer as a way for people to be able to connect more deeply with themselves. So that's what we do, is we just find little tiny practices, find tiny ways to just let ourselves ground and connect. And that's been extraordinarily useful over the last 14, 15 months of the pandemic. And I feel that, many of us who've been gathering week after week know that it's just been a place of resilience, a place of just being able to land, being able to deal with all of the different pieces of what may be going on in our lives. And there's so much that we've been holding. So whether it's, again, your first time or you've been here week after week, a warm welcome back. Perhaps we just land for a moment and maybe we get both feet flat on the ground. Our tiny practices are, I was going to take my slippers off to do this, to just feel my feet connected to the earth. So I guess it's become a little ritual, but to feel our feet connected to the earth is just such a little gift, a reminder of what it means to be human and what it means to just be connected in this body, on the earth body, as our friend and teacher Arwana Hayashi often says. So I have a little singing bowl, and it says for conference room use, as many of you know, right on the bottom. And it came home with me 15 months ago, and it's still here with me, trusty little singing bowl. And what we do with it is just at the beginning of meetings, we like to give that sound of resonance, a little sound that we can just feel in our own place, in our own space, and just land in our bodies and perhaps tune. It's almost like a tuning fork. It allows us to tune back in to ourselves and to our own breath, and just to follow the sound of that. And I apologize for the little audio that may be going rough on my side at the moment, but it'll move shortly. So what I invite you to do is just to, whatever sounds may be coming in from your own space, just to let them be there. And perhaps with your feet flat on the ground, you can lower your gaze or close your eyes and feel the weight of the body on the chair or on the ground, just resting. And perhaps for a moment feeling supported. Just feeling the support of the chair, support of the floor. And then feeling the energy rising in the spine, maybe as the breath moves through the body. As you exhale, feeling the energy, the attention, the breath moving up to the crown of the head. Just following the breath in and out or up and down for the next few moments. I'll ring the sound of the bell or the sound of the bowl to start our moment of stillness, and I'll ring the sound again to bring us back. Few extra rings, a few extra wake ups for us today. So thank you for being in that space. I often say that I could just stay there for that hour together. We could just host a little meditation session. But we have a wonderful session in store. Today is it's special for a lot of reasons, but it's we're going to change up the way that we're doing our session today. So for those of you who have been here week after week, you might remember our regular flow. Today we're going to do a little check-in in just a moment, and I'll introduce Karina. Karina will do a tiny practice, and then we'll go into 2 breakouts. So if you're in YouTube, your first breakout is actually going to be a writing prompt. So you can stay on for that and take part in that writing prompt with Karina. In Zoom, we'll go into 2 breakouts today. So we'll have a first breakout and then we'll come back. Karina will talk us through a little bit more, and then we'll go into breakout 2, which will that's when we'll say goodbye to our YouTube friends. In the meantime, before we start all that, just a little check-in of what brought you here today. Perhaps it was the theme, perhaps it's you come here every week, or maybe there's something else on your mind, but just what brought you here. And you can type directly in the chat or the comments on Zoom or YouTube. Okay, I've got a few in, and I see there are more still coming in, so I'll just read a few out. So theme and the week time for Lisa, Lakshmi community, Lisa continuity, Joan Ryan wanting to connect again, been gone a while. Welcome back, Joan. Shared from my mother-in-law and making a regular practice. Wonderful. My weekly tune-up. I treasure this. It's my weekly grounding session. Jerry says it's an opportunity to land in my body. Risa, connection. Needing for grounding with a community of women from Deanne. Marla, I just love these meetings. Curiosity about connecting with a new community. Welcome, Lisa. Jean, fellowship with other women. Marlene, Tuesday connection. Goddess energy generated by being in community with other women. Thanks, Deborah. Karen, to connect in sisterhood and trust. Marsha, love the experience and the connection. Eileen, wonderful part of my Zoom conference Tuesday. I feel like we go Zoom room to Zoom room to Zoom room, some of us, and it's nice to get a little landing, a little peace. Loving friendship and kindness to all. There's a peace that comes over me as soon as I sit down to open Women Together. Wonderful. And I'll just check and see if there's a YouTube update. So I don't know if I can get that in. And we're also just wondering, there we go. Dr. Doreen Stern, inspiration. Joan, today's topic is of great interest. I value the relationships in my life, friends, and peace and connection, deepening relationships and discovering new ways to develop relationships. Beautiful. Francis, what defines authentic? Together is a lovely word from Elk. So there's just so many different pieces to what it means to really be in relationship with each other and what it means to really be connected to one another. So, Francis, I love this question of what does it mean to be authentic? I feel like, especially as we consider deepening relationships, what does it mean to be authentic as we relate to each other? And so much of what we've done in Women Together is to really be able to connect with each other, but also to find a deeper connection to ourselves. And last week, we really deepened that connection to ourselves and just focused in on having compassion for ourselves. And that can be so crucial and so important. But as we open, some of us are opening our doors a little bit more to being in connection with others. And what does that mean to not just have a relationship that's sort of up here, kind of in the mind almost? What does it mean to actually deepen the connection with someone else so that it's really coming from a heart place or a place of empathy and a place of compassion? So really, what does it actually mean to deepen relationship with each other? So there's so many ways to do that. I want to check if Karina is in the room because we can't find, if you are in the room, we don't see you might need to rename yourself. Or just come off of mute if you can, and let us know that you're in the room. We know that you're either trying to get in or here, but I see a bunch of iPads and iPhones, so we don't always know. But so we'll wait a moment for Karina to identify herself if she's in the room. And in the meantime, we'll talk a little bit about what it means to deepen relationships. So what I'd love to do is just type into the chat, what does it mean to deepen relationships? Francis says, what are we saving it for? Be open. And Francis, you have modeled that week after week with us and just kind of really opening yourself up and sharing your own personal experience. Lisa just shared being vulnerable and open. We'll just wait for a few more to come in. What does it mean to deepen relationships? What does that mean for you? So I see a few more, starting from a place of trust, setting the example of shared humanity. Deepen relationships means to see and hear, or to hear and see one another. Lisa says, giving each other space to speak from the heart and risk not always getting it right. Reciprocity from Missy. Beth, dropping down from the head to the heart. Deborah says, building intimacy and trust. Deanne, to come to a deeper understanding of another. Having the courage to be honest. It's from Kathleen. Grace Ann, to completely open my heart to the way of being, a place of trust. Eileen says to go through the thick and thin with people who truly care. Lisa, to care for each other, listen to one another. Karen, to hold space for others and to have others hold space from, I'm not sure what that means, but to hold space for others, and I'm guessing to have them hold space for us. Elizabeth says, a friend sent me this. Give the gift of your absence to those who do not appreciate your presence. Powerful, fun. Yeah, beautiful. Frances said she's in a tremendous amount of emotional pain right now. So I reached out to Linda, one of our people. Beautiful. Trust someone to care about you, even if you disagree, to listen more deeply, respect, to show up as who I am instead of who I think you want me to be. And Linda says, being there for each other. I think all of this, and let's just a couple more from YouTube, being honest, authentic, telling the truth, living one's truth, open, bonding with each other, and a good laugh. And relationships are a two-way investment, giving and taking. So there's a lot to say about this. And I think, there are a few different activities that we can do. I'm just checking if Karina, if you're here, you can make yourself known. If you're not, we will continue on. But I think the pieces of deepening relationships that, we would really want to focus on today is actually about really that piece of authenticity and vulnerability. How do we know that we can trust another person to really be there for us, to really be there for each other? And how do we know that we can actually open up? How do we feel safe enough to be able to do that? And sometimes for me, that's actually coming from the feeling of safety I have within myself. So do I feel that I'm actually able to hold that myself, or am I just giving it to somebody else, asking them to hold something that I'm not even ready to hold myself? And sometimes it requires a little bit of both. Sometimes it's actually giving over a part of ourselves that we may not yet be ready to even share, and trusting that it's going to land. And that then opens and invites an opportunity for someone else to do the same. Because when we're just doing what's practiced and rehearsed, then we keep doing the same thing and we keep repeating the same patterns. So often that keeps us in this this high level, which isn't necessarily high level in a good way, but kind of all of our sort of mental receptors are online, but not necessarily our heart receptors. So what I'd like to do is just to invite us into a little practice of tuning into our own space. And if Karina doesn't manage to make it into the Zoom room, we'll continue with our own practice, and then we'll move into a space of deepening relationships with each other in one breakout. So I'll keep you posted about our plan for today, and we'll just kind of keep building the bridge as we walk on it. Just really landing with each other and landing with ourselves, and just really sitting with, what does it take to be able to open ourselves to a place where we can be vulnerable, where we feel we can be vulnerable with each other? And are we waiting for somebody else to be vulnerable with us before we can do that? What does it take? So maybe just letting yourself land back in the body for a moment. And we'll just recall a time. Just land first, and then we'll do some visualization, some recollection, reflection. So just tune into the body and the breath. You can inhale and fill the belly, fill the chest and the collarbones. Inhale all the way, fill the body, and exhale, release. And just inhale one more time, fill the body, put one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. Just a reminder of what it takes to be in this body. with all of these life experiences. And perhaps for a moment, just going to a place of compassion, holding each of the women in this room, holding those of us who don't make it into this Zoom, YouTube space. Just recognizing what it means to be human, to be both in a place of pain and suffering, and also holding that same pain and suffering with a sense of possibility. And just being with what comes up, being with what's there. Sometimes before we can deepen a relationship with anyone else, we start here. And if there's a feeling that comes up, just tuning the energy around the space of the heart, being with any sensations or feelings, just letting them rise, letting them roll through. Perhaps if there's sadness, there's also joy. Perhaps there's tension in the body, just feeling, breathing into that place. Often we're walking from place to place to place, even if it's just in our own homes, picking things up, moving things to the next thing, making sure we're eating the next thing, the next thing. And we sort of lose this space, this interior space. We lose connection with this interior space. So right now, just deepening relationship to the interior space. Feeling in this moment, perhaps a strong back, the strength of the spine, almost like the turtle shell of the back. Just feeling the strength of the back and the softness of the front, the softness of the space around the heart, the softness of the belly. That in one very same moment, we can both be strong and soft. Finding those places of polarity, strong and soft within ourselves. Strong and soft, perhaps sadness and joy, perhaps suffering and possibility. And perhaps a return to the breath, that the breath is always here. And the breath can transmute, it can shift the tension, it can shift between the polarities. That the breath is the link between the groundedness and the space around us, the space above us that is sky. And then for a moment, perhaps recalling a time where you were with someone who you really trusted and you had a really deep connection. with that person. Just noticing the qualities of what that was like to have that connection. And then just for a moment, reflect on what did it take to open that space for a caring connection, for a deep relationship with this other being. How did you show up to that relationship, that connection? Just being with those two things, how that other person may have shown up, what was built, and what you needed, maybe that interior space, the dimension inside ourselves, what you needed in order to be able to connect and deepen the relationship. And then perhaps feeling a little bit of uplift in the spine. You can open out the arms a little bit. Just feel a connection to the space around you. Just feeling a connection to the space around our bodies, wiggling our toes, wiggling the fingers, feeling a sense of uplift in the spine. And then maybe even if it doesn't feel comfortable, just a smile, just a little twinkling in the corners of the mouth. And then extending your energy out, extending out into the room, to the corners of the walls, and then perhaps out a little further if that feels right for you. Just feeling that deepened connection with ourselves and what that means when we connect with the space around us. Often we think about, how can I connect to something tangible? I need to touch it. I need to talk to it. And yet there's a connection that happens first, the connection inside ourselves, and then the connection to the space itself, the space around us. So just being with that connection. And from that place, having the strength that happens in the spine and the softness in our front, you can open your eyes and come back to this space together. And we can hold each other and our dear friend Francis, who's in a struggle at the moment, but we are here with you. And we're here with each other and just holding the different places that we come into connection with ourselves. So for just a minute, we'll take a moment to just jot down any thoughts that may have come up. Often when we go into this deep place in ourselves, there's a lot there. There's a lot that comes up. So just taking a moment to write down thoughts or feelings, if there's something specific to what it means to hold those polarities, what it means to deepen a relationship with ourselves, you can just write that down for a moment. Okay, and we're also going to hold Karina, who just messaged that she had an emergency in the family and had to take someone to the emergency room. And that is where she has been for the last 20 minutes. So we're just going to hold her as well. There's lots happening. And in this moment, we'll just come back to ourselves, come back to each other. Just know that while all of this is going on in the world around us, that we're here with each other and we have the ability to move through these pieces of what's going on in ourselves and our world. We'll move into breakouts for about just about 20 minutes, actually. We can do 20 minutes. And what we'll do is we'll share with each other what comes up about deepening relationships, what qualities are needed to deepen relationships. So the invitation is to share your name, where you're coming from. And I'm going to say that we're going to share if there's a scale of 1 to 10, we're going to share something that's somewhere between a 3 and a 7. We're not providing therapy for each other or able to, kind of be the person that's going to, drag them up and out of the crisis. And yet we have 20 minutes of real time with each other to listen, to hold space, to share with one another. And we have the ability to use this time for connection with each other, to invite ourselves into that sort of meta reflection space. So as I share or as I listen, I also have an eye to how do I deepen relationships? How do I deepen relationship with myself, even while I'm in this connection with another person, even if it's virtual? How do I do that? How do I maintain strong back, soft front, Antoinette, while I'm in conversation, right? It's not always happening in every, sometimes I personally get lost in other people's stuff. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a whoa, and I go in there with them, and that's great. And and that's part of it. And at the same time, the ability to be generative, the ability to co-create requires the strength and the softness. So just bringing that into this conversation with each other, sharing our name, where we're coming from, and what comes up for us about deepening relationships on any of these fronts. So we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes. And YouTubers, we'll see you again next week. And in the interwebs, if you'd like to join us in womentogether.com/conversations, we'll have space to connect with each other there. So enjoy your time together. See you back in 20 minutes.
Hey, Sandy. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, guys. Welcome. If you can hear me, you've been assigned to a breakout room.